Okay, so in this one, we are going to talk about comments. So before we jump into variables, let's just have a small discussion on what comments are. So comments are nothing but notes of explanation within the program that are required for the program to just ignore. So if you do not want any statements in the program to be executed, then you can just use this hashtag symbol to um, to make sure that the program doesn't execute that particular statement. So you may think like, why do we even need comments? We can just remove the statement itself. But in comments are basically used when you want to describe what a particular statement is. So I can show you an example. So like in this case, this program displays a person's name and address. So you are basically printing a person's name and address. So that is what the representation of comments are. So you can basically use comments to display what the program is about and what are the special features that the program is consisting and what are the processing, and depending upon the program needs itself, you can just use comments. So now let's talk about variables. Variable is a name that represents a value stored inside the computer memory. So from chapter 1, if you remember, the computer memory is divided into small portions and each portion is called as a byte, right? And each byte has again 8 bits. A byte can store any type of data, and depending upon the size of that data, you can increase the number of bytes that you are going to use. So with that knowledge, each byte can also be termed as a variable if you name something, if you name a part of the memory. So let's to make to give you a better example, let's consider this. Let's say that we have our building, right? Let's say we have Congdon Hall, which is the CIS building in UNCW campus. So each building has multiple classrooms. So multiple classrooms can be classified as multiple memory locations in a computer. Let's just assume that the building is our computer and each classroom is a memory location. And so let's say memory location is 2055, which is the name of the classroom that you or the management or the program or the computer itself has given to that memory allocation. So we can have 2055 as a variable which is holding some type of data, and variables can have any type of data. So which can also be let's say 2055 at 9 a.m. is hosting CSC 131 800 section. I'm just giving you an example. And maybe the same 2055 in the afternoon is holding some other subject, let's say VR. So 2055 in the afternoon is holding the VR class. So this means you are using the same classroom, but you are holding different types of data, or you are holding different types of classes. So in this case, 2055 is the variable which is holding two different types of data. Similarly, a variable in a computer memory can store different types of data depending upon the need and the execution of the program. And this is assigned by using the assignment statement that is also represented as equal to symbol. So equal to symbol is used when you are trying to assign a certain data to that variable. So in our example, we can just say 2055 is equal to CSE 131. So that is, we are assigning the CSE 131 subject or class to the variable 2055. And also, as it is just a variable, if I choose to rename that variable to something else, so if I choose to rename that variable from 2055 to 2044, I can still do that, because I am not actually moving or changing the memory location, right? I mean, I'm not actually changing the location of the classroom 2055. I'm just renaming the location of the classroom 2055 to 2044. You can easily change the variable names in the programs as well. So when it comes to the general format, you have variable towards the left side of the expression, and then for the operator, that is the assignment symbol here, and then comes the expression. So 2055 is equal to CSE 131. And to look at another simpler example, we have age is equal to 29. So this is age of a person is equal to 29 years is the age of this person. So age is a variable. You are having that with an assignment operator, the equal to sign followed by the number or the expression, which is 29 in this case. I hope the concept of variables is clear. If not, please reach out to me if there are any questions. So in the assignment statements, the variable which is receiving the data should always be towards the left side of the assignment operator. So it should be 2055, age, name, and salary, hourly pay rate, number of hours worked. Everything should be towards the left side of the equal to sign. And whatever data that you want this variable to hold will be placed towards the right side of the assignment sign. That is the expression in this case. And a variable can be passed as an argument to a function as well. So let's see how that works. And as a variable is a predefined statement inside our program, we should not put that variable inside the single or double quotes. When I look at when you are shown a .py file, you'll understand it clear. Okay, so now let's take an example. We have width and length. Width is a variable, length is a variable. Width is assigned to number 10, length is assigned to number 5. So now when you are printing width and length, there is no need for you to use single or double quotes because width, the term width, is a predefined variable inside the function or inside the program. Same thing goes with length. As length is a predefined term or a variable that is already been described in the program, we are not using that inside single or double quotes. So let's take a look at this. When you are having that width inside the quotes, that you are using a single quote here. So if you are using the width inside the quotes, the output will be width itself. So you will see the output width instead of 10. If you want to look at the data that is stored inside the variable width, then you are just typing width inside the print function. If you want to look at the term width itself as your output, then you are making width as your argument by using that inside this single or double quotes. There are certain variable naming rules as well, and this is very important. Variable name cannot be a keyword. So I cannot just create a variable that says print. Print is already a keyword, so I cannot use any type of keywords in as variable names. And variable names cannot contain spaces. So when you want to include, like let's say, number of hours of pay as a variable itself, then in that case, you can use underscores or you can use capital letters. So first character must be a letter or an underscore. If you are starting that with a number, then that is illegal. So you will be getting an error. After first character, may use letters, digits, or underscores. It is totally up to you. And variable names are case sensitive. So capital T is not equal to lowercase t. So if you have capital R is equal to 10 and then small h r is equal to 5, this capital H r and small lowercase HR are two different variables which are holding two different data, that is 10 and 5. And it makes a good sense to use the variable name that defines what it is holding. So instead of just creating A as a variable, like alphabet A as your variable, it will be better if you are defining what it is holding. Like let's say name is equal to, that when you look at that statement, you can understand that it is a variable name and you are expecting some sort of name to be stored inside that particular variable name. Same with age. So you're basically expecting a whole number, right? Because ages, you cannot write age as 29.2. That is, no, it doesn't work like that. So it's just 29. So you're only expecting integers for that age variable. So depending upon the name of the variable, you can also try to expect what type of data that you might get. So here are some legal and illegal representations. Units per display, you can still use underscore when you have more than one word as your variable name, and that is legal. Or you can use the capital letters. So day of week. When you use capital letters like this, it is easy for us to read. So when you have more than one word, it is better to use either underscores or capital letters to increase the readability for the user. And next, 3D graph is illegal because you're starting with a letter 3. June 1997 is still legal because you're starting with a capital letter alphabet and then you have your numbers. Mixture #3. Hashtag is used for as a as a comment. So this will only consider mixture as your variable. So if you're trying to use this anywhere else in your program, whatever is typed after the hashtag symbol is considered as a comment. So it will not be executed. There will be a color change as well. So make sure that you're not using hashtags in your variable names. So now let's move on to displaying multiple items with the print function. So we have looked into what print function is and how it can be used. So now when we are using multiple items with a single print function, so then how can we use that? So items are separated by using commas when passed as arguments. So let's say I want to print name, age, and salary of a person. So when I'm trying to print name, comma, age, comma, salary in one single statement, the syntax will be print, open parenthesis, name, comma, age, comma, salary. So when this is printed, like when you actually execute this type of statement, the output will have spaces in between the arguments. So the output will be whatever the name is. Let's say name is Harry and age is 28. So Harry space 28 space 15,000. So the commas will be replaced by spaces when the program is actually executed. So this is one of the examples. I am staying in room number. This is basically like the hello world. So you are seeing an argument which is inside single quotes inside your print statement. And next statement you have print room. So when you execute the program here, notice this room is a predefined variable. So that is already existing in our program. So there should not be any errors. So when you are executing this program, the output will be I'm staying in room number. And then next line will be 503. That is because you are having print statement in the next line. But what if you want to save everything in one single line? Then in that case, you can just directly use this format. I am staying in room number, comma. This is your first argument. That is the statement I am staying in room number. And room is the variable which was predefined in the program. So that is the reason why you're not having that inside the quotes. And then room. So the output will be I'm staying in room number 503. See, this comma has been converted into a space when it is executed. Each argument must be inside the quotes if it is a statement. So I'm staying in room number, comma, room, comma, and he is staying in room number. So that is another sentence, right? So that has to be inside the quotes again. So next comes the variable reassignment topic. So as I've mentioned before, variables can different values while the program is running. So let's say my variable R, HOUR has a variable 10. And then I'm using the same variable at the later part of my program, let's say at line 50, and I'm making that value as 45. So what happens to the value that was previously stored inside the variable R, which is 10? That will be automatically removed by the Python interpreter. This type of automatical removal of the unwanted data is called as garbage collection. And a variable can refer to an item of any type. As I've mentioned, we have integers, floating point numbers, and strings. Integers are whole numbers that do not have any decimal value to it. Floating point numbers are the numbers which have some decimal value to it. And then we have strings or characters, which are basically characters like the name, age, or any words that we want to type. So now let's take a look at this for the variable reassignment. First, I have dollars is equal to 2.75. So with this dollars is equal to 2.75, when this statement is executed, that is print, I have dollars in my account. Notice this, we have three arguments in this case. First argument is I have, which is inside the quotes, comma, dollars, which is a variable that is predefined. So that is the reason we are not having that inside the quotes, comma, in my account. In my account is again the statement which is not included in the program. So we are having that as a string itself. So when you print this statement, you will see the output. I have 2.75 in my account. right? Because dollars is 2.75. Now in the next line, I change the value to 99.95. So then the statement is, but now I have dollars in my account. So first, when this statement is executed, you will see, but now I have 99.95 in my account. So here you are using the same variable name dollars, but you have a different type or different amount that is being stored as a data inside these variables. So this is an example of variable reassignment. Now let's consider numerical data types, literals and string data type as well. So data types are categorizes of value in a memory. As I've mentioned, we have integers, which has a short of int. Float is for real number or floating point numbers, and then strings, str, is used for storing strings in memory. So numerical literal is number written in a program. As we are talking about, if we are talking about integers, then there is no decimal point considered for integers. Otherwise, it is considered as float. So let's take a look at this. Now we are trying to save first name and last name into variables and then print the first and last name. So notice the variable naming as well. We have first name, which determines that it is supposed to have the first name of the user. And then we have last name, which determines that we are supposed to have the last name of the user. So first name is equal to, as we are giving that information into this variable, and as the information is all characters, that is alphabets or strings, we are going to use quotations. It can be single or double, it's up to you. So quotations, Catherine, last name is equal to quotations, Marino. Now when I'm printing this, I have first name as my first argument. Notice there are no quotations here because first name is the variable that is already defined in the program, comma, last name. So when you execute this, the output will be Catherine space Marino. Now is reassigning variable to a different data type. So we can, as from the previous example here, you have seen a floating point number that was assigned to dollars, and next a different type of floating point number is reference to dollars. We can also refer the same variable to any type of data. So in this case, x is first an integer because it is 99, there is no decimal point. And in the next few steps, like after maybe line 70 or line 80, I can also define x to a string literal or a string characters. So that is, take me to your leader. So this variable reassignment will look like x is equal to quote, take me to your leader, end of quote. So this is to show you that numbers or integers or any type of data type can be used while we are working with variable reassignment concept. Now let's take a look at this. So this is our variables.py file, which is also inside your modules. So make sure that you go through this slide, this .py file as well for better understanding. So I have temperature is equal to 45. Temp is my variable, which is holding the data 45. So I now have print temp, temp, and temp. So can anyone guess what the output will be? So the output of the first statement will be an error because T and T is not defined. And in the next statement, you will see the output TEMP. And in the third statement, you will see the output as 45. Yeah. First statement is executed, and we do know that it is executing in top to down approach. So the first statement is temperature is equal to 45, that has no errors. Next statement, it is trying to execute this, but TEMP, capital T and lowercase t are two different variable names or two different terms. So here TEMP is not defined. So you're getting name error, that is TEMP is not defined. So that is to show you that lowercase and uppercase are not the same. And then when you run this module again, you'll see temp because you're giving temp as an argument. And then now here you are referencing a variable that was predefined. So you'll see the output as 45. Now let's see the output for this one. Alt 4 is also a shortcut. And the reason I am doing this is to show you that you can have those two at the same time. Okay. So this one, room is 503. I'm staying in room number is your first line. Second line is 503. And as I have uncommented this part, I'm staying in room number, comma room, that is all in one line. I'm staying in room number 503. Basically, this is used for better representation, and it also uses less, space backend when your computer is executing the program. So it is much finer. Oops, sorry. So now let's see this program. Okay, it is asking us to create two variables, top speed and distance. You have created the variables, assign that to some values, 160 and 300. Now your top speed is top speed, your distance traveled is distance. This is just another representation of I'm staying in room number. So you will see the outputs. First line is top speed is, next is 160, that is the second line. Third line is traveled is, fourth line is the distance that is traveled, that is 300. So you can reduce the total number of lines from 4 to 2. When you can actually make it to one sentence, but for convenience, let's just make it to 2 by bringing this top speed to the above statement and by having a comma in between the arguments. Okay. Okay. This is the same thing. I have 2.75. I have 2.75 in my account, but now I have 99 in my account. So this is reassignment to the similar or the same data type. So I have 2.75 with dollars being 2.75 first, and then you are reassigning the dollars variable to 99.95. So you see 99.95 in my account as your output. Okay. Let's take a look at this with a different data type. So you have x is equal to 99, which is an integer, and then you are printing x. So your output is 99, right? After the statement, like in statement or line number 3, you have hello, now this is a string data type argument. And when you print x, you will see hello, now this is a string data type argument. So this 99 for the integer, and then this is for the string. So with this, we are done with comments as well. So the next topic will be in the next video.